Hello, welcome back. We are on episode number 35 of Bedtime Stories with VJ. Who's VJ? I'm VJ, and today I've brought you a story that is a true story. This is a story of a very, very brave boy. Hello, Divisha. Hello, Shania. I'm so happy to see you both here. And today I'm going to tell you a story of a very brave boy, and this is a true story. This happened in the year 2017. And you know what? This boy also won a bravery award. So, you want to know who this boy is? Let me start by telling you this story of this young little boy whose name was whose name is, let me make myself comfortable. Okay, so this is the story of a boy named Bhim Yadav. And in 2017, he was a 12-year-old boy. And where was he from? Where was Bhim Yadav from? Bhim Yadav lived in a place called Mangalpur in Bihar. You know where Bihar is? Yes, we all know where Bihar is. So Bhim Yadav was a 12-year-old boy at the time of this story. If in 2017 he was 12, how old will he be now? Can somebody tell me? He will be? Yes, correct. So this is the story of Bhim Yadav, who was a 12-year-old boy in 2017, and he lived in a village called Mangalpur in Bihar. So, Bhim, let me see if my curtains are open. No, my curtains are closed, but there are a lot of sound here. So, Bhim Yadav was a boy who used to go to school with all his friends. And how did he goes to school? How would he go to school? He would have to cross his farmland. So his father had a huge orchard of, you know what an orchard is, where you grow fruits. So his father had a huge orchard, so he would have to cross that orchard. He would have to cross the railway track, and then he would have to walk for many kilometers before he reached his school. But that was not a big deal for him. He and his friends used to do this every single day. They used to talk non-stop. They used to talk about everything, and they used to talk about their day. They used to talk about their friends. They used to talk about their books. They used to talk about the latest movies and all of that. Now, on this railway track that they used to cross over, there used to be regular trains that used to pass on the railway track. Now, these trains are long distance trains. So, long distance trains are what? They are trains which go from one part of the country to the other part of the country. Okay. So, now, one day, when Bhim Yadav and his friends were on the way to the fruit orchards in town, what did they see? They saw that the railway track looked uneven. कुछ तो गड़बड़ था उस रेलवे ट्रैक में. रेलवे की जो पटरी होती है, पटरी में इनको कुछ गड़बड़ लगा. तो भीम यादव और उसके दोस्तों ने क्या किया? उन्होंने एक दूसरे से बात करते करते वो चलते गए चलते गए चलते गए चलते गए चलते गए चलते गए, और फिर जहां पे उनको पटरी में कुछ गड़बड़ दिखा, वहां पे वो रुक गए. और पता है पटरी में क्या गड़बड़ थी? डू यू नो व्हाट वाज रॉन्ग विद द रेलवे ट्रैक? इट वाज ब्रोकन. So railway tracks are like this. So you have two parallel railway tracks. So there are, you cannot have one full line of a railway track from the starting to the ending point. You have joints. So one place where there was a joint, the joint was broken, and the track. So if this is the track was like this. And do you know what happens if a train runs over such a broken track? The train will lose its balance and it will fall. And if it falls, what will happen? There will be an accident. And if there is an accident, what will happen? So many people will die or get injured. It is such a dangerous situation. So, when Bhim and his friends saw the broken track, they got scared. They were young children, no 12-year-old children. What would they know? They were so scared. Even Bhim got very scared. And this happened in December, where it is very, very cold in Bihar. In December, Bihar is so cold that you can't even see. Sometimes there's so much fog that you cannot see anything that's in front of you. So imagine a train chugging down that railway track. अगर वो ट्रेन उस रेलवे ट्रैक्स पे से गुजरती है, उस अंधेरे में, उस कोहरा में, उस ठंड के मौसम में, ड्राइवर को तो ये पटरी दिखेगी भी नहीं. He will not be able to see the crack in the tracks. And it could lead to a big, big disaster, a big accident. All the children were scared. What do we do? They all knew what would happen if a train went on that. And they also knew that it was time for a train to arrive soon. See, every day when you walk in one, if you walk through one place, you know more or less कि ये time पे ये होने वाला है, ये time पे train आएगी, ये time पे यहाँ से बस जाती है. At 9:30 in the morning, you know that the school bus comes past. So not just your school bus, you'll see so many school buses going past your house, right? So like that, Bhim and his friends knew that a train would be arriving soon. What could they do? They were school children. They did not have mobile phones in their hand. And because it is a village, they did not have telephones anywhere close to the railway track. So what will they do? All the children thought and thought and kya kare, kya kare, kya kare, kya kare. They all racked their brains. Some of the bigger children ran into the village. They said, let us go and find some help, and they ran. Some of the smaller children stood by the tracks and cried because they were so scared. Beam was also one of those children who was standing by the tracks wondering, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And then he had an idea. Brave little Beam Yadav took off his red sweater. He was wearing a red sweater. I told you, Bihar was very cold in December, and so all the children wear sweaters. Our friend Beam was also wearing a sweater. So what did he do? He pulled off his sweater and he shivered. It was so cold. But he had to do something. So he took his, so imagine this is his sweater. So he took his sweater and started waving it like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And he ran on the tracks towards the approaching train. The children all heard the whistle of the train. The train always whistles when it used to go past that track, that patch of track, because the driver knew the children used to cross this, that people used to cross at this place. So the driver always used to, blow the horn. So what did Bhim do? He took off his t-shirt, his sweater, and he did like this and he ran. So if the train is coming from here, Bhim started running towards the train, waving his sweater, his red sweater. He waved and waved and waved and waved and ran in the direction of the train. All the other children got so scared. They said, "Oh my God, where is he running? ये तो पागल हो गया है. Accident हो जाएगी. Train इसको टक्कर मारेगी. Something will happen to him." But our brave little Beam was not frightened. All he could think about was to save all those people who were there on the train. So waving his sweater, he ran and he ran and he ran and he ran and he ran. Now the driver of the approaching train, the driver was doing something and he looked up and he saw some figure coming on the track. So he looked out of the window and then, to his shock, he realized that it was a boy who was running on the track. The driver quickly hit the horns again. Pooh! 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 But our friend Bheem kept running towards the train because Bheem had only one thing in mind. He wanted to save all those people who are there on the train. And the driver thought that this boy is crazy. Why is he coming running towards the train? Finally, when the driver realized that Bheem is not going to stop, he hit the brakes of the train. Now, when we hit the brakes of a bike, we can stop immediately. If we hit the brakes of a car, we can stop immediately. But that is not the case with a train. The train is so huge and there is so much momentum. It is going at such a great speed. So when you hit the brakes, it will not immediately stop. It will run for a short distance and then stop. So as Beam came running, waving his sweater at the train driver, the driver was coming at his speed and then he hit the brakes. But the train kept moving, and Beam is running. Finally, the train came and stopped very near Beam. Everybody, all the children who were watching by the side of the tracks, heaved a sign of relief. All the villagers who had gathered, hearing all this honking and horning and the children screaming, all the villagers had also come running out of their fields and out of their homes. And they also saw one boy running towards the train. They also heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, the driver got off the train and he caught hold of Bhim and said, "Kya kar raha hai? Pagal hai kya? Bewkoof hai kya? Mar jata." And Bhim couldn't breathe. He said, "Patri, accident, कुछ हो जाता." So they asked him, "क्या है? क्या बोल रहा है?" And finally, Bhim was able to gather his breath and he said, "Patri टूटी हुई है. The railway track is broken. There would have been an accident." The driver didn't believe him at first because usually children do mischief like this, no? They cook up stories. They become story makers like how VJ is. So they thought he was making a story. So Bhim held the driver's hand and led him to the spot where the railway track was broken. And he said, "See, पटरी टूटी हुई है. ट्रेन जाती, एक्सीडेंट हो जाता, लोग मर जाते." And finally, the driver of the train realized that our Beam was a hero. Beam had actually saved thousands and thousands and thousands of passengers who were traveling on that train. If he hadn't run with his sweater, if he hadn't warned the driver of the train would have tried to pass over that track and they would have lost their balance and the train would have jumped track and many people would have had an accident. They would have perished. They would have been badly injured. So don't you think our friend Beam is a very brave boy? Yes, I think Beam is a very brave boy. And you know why he is brave? One, because he had the presence of mind. He could think of only one solution to save the train and its passengers. Like all the other children, he also could have run into the village to call for help. Like all the other children, he could have also stood by the tracks crying because he couldn't think of an idea. But our Beam thought of an idea. He used his brain, he used his mind, he used his intelligence, and he used all the learning that he had. And he knew that red is the signal for stop. And he knew that if the driver could see the red color of his sweater, the driver would know that there was trouble ahead. He took a big chance. There was a possibility that the driver would not have noticed him. There was a possibility that the driver would have still driven ahead and maybe there would have been an accident. But our friend Beam held on to his courage. He held on to his faith and he did what he could do to save the thousands of people who were traveling on the train. And you want to see the photo of our friend Beam? This is Beam in 2017. I don't know whether we have a latest picture of him, but this was Bhim Yadav when he was 12 years old and when he saved all those passengers on a train from facing an accident and from dying and who knows what else. So this is our friend Beam. How did you like the story? This is a true story. And today VJ decided to tell you a true story because real heroes do exist. Why do we need to go to Superman or to the Avengers for a hero? We have heroes who live among us. We have heroes who are courageous. We have heroes who are smart. And we have heroes who are little boys like Bhim Yadav, the 12-year-old boy who lived in Mangalpur in Bihar and who saved so many passengers from a certain death, from certain accident. So my children, I hope that you never have to face such a situation, but if you are ever faced with a situation that is tough, that is challenging, I want you all to use your presence of mind, your intelligence, and put it to good use and become as brave as our friend Bhim Yadav of Mangalpur in Bihar. All right, you can check him out on the internet. You can check out the story, and I'm sure you'll find it. So, on and off, BJ will come to you with stories of true life, stories that are taken from real life incidents, stories of real heroes, stories that will inspire you, that will encourage you, and that will make better children of all of you. With that, I end tonight's story of Bedtime Stories, episode number 35 of Bedtime Stories with VJ. And I shall be back again on Friday with another story, with another hero. And if you like my stories, I want you all to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, on Facebook, and I want you to share these stories. I want you to comment on these stories. I will not know if you like the stories if you do not comment. So I want you to comment on the stories. I want you to give me suggestions and ideas. Who knows, you could be the next hero of my story. All right. With that, I say good night. Take care. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. Do not let the bugs bite. Bye bye.